Okay, so we're diving deep today into strategies for combating poverty, specifically in Papua New Guinea.
All right.
And you've brought some really compelling material
Yeah.
focusing on microfinance programs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we really want to unpack here is why microfinance is so crucial in this context.
Right.
And maybe more importantly for our listeners, how can it be most effective?
I think that the first thing to understand is that for a lot of people in Papua New Guinea, especially in rural areas,
Right.
access to even basic financial services is just a huge barrier.
Yeah,
I mean, imagine trying to build any kind of financial stability
right.
when the nearest bank is days away,
Oh, absolutely.
or you don't have any formal assets to secure a loan.
Yeah.
So traditional banking as we know it, it's just not an option
Right.
for a huge part of the population.
And that's where microfinance comes in.
Exactly.
This idea of offering small, manageable loans,
Yeah.
sometimes as little as $50 or $100. And as you were pointing out in the material, with really minimal requirement.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
So what kind of possibilities does that open up for people?
Well, I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
A small loan like that could be the seed money for a market stall,
Yeah.
could be enough to start a small poultry farm.
Right.
Or, maybe buy the resources to create handicrafts to sell.
So it's really about empowering people to move beyond subsistence living.
Exactly. It's that initial push towards generating a sustainable income.
And when we think about Papua New Guinea's economy,
Right.
it's so diverse,
Oh, yeah, incredibly diverse.
often very cash scarce.
Yeah,
So I imagine a one-size-fits-all approach to lending wouldn't work very well.
it just wouldn't. No.
So what's really interesting in the material you shared is this emphasis on tailoring microfinance programs to the local context.
Yeah, it's crucial.
So it's not just about tweaking things a little.
No.
It's about really adapting to specific realities.
Absolutely.
And I was fascinated by some of the examples you gave.
Yeah.
Like aligning repayment schedules with harvest cycles.
Makes perfect sense. Right.
So farmers aren't burdened when they have no income,
Exactly.
or timing disbursements with local market days.
Yeah, when cash is flowing.
So smart, so practical.
And there's also the whole aspect of group lending,
Ah, yeah, you talked about that.
which can be really effective.
Why is that?
Well, it fosters communal accountability,
Right.
which fits really well with Papua New Guinea's social structures.
So it's not just a financial tool, it's a social one too.
Exactly. And that kind of flexibility, it's not just a nice bonus.
No, I can see how it's absolutely crucial.
It's essential for these programs to be successful in the long run.
And when we look at who stands to gain the most from this approach, it seems that women entrepreneurs are a key group.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there's such a vital force in the informal economy,
They really are.
but often face even greater barriers than men.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's true in many contexts.
So the material really highlights this idea of targeting microfinance towards women
Mm-hmm.
and then combining that with training
Oh, yeah, the training is so important.
in things like bookkeeping, marketing,
Right. Practical skill
and the impact of that can be pretty amazing.
can be transformative. Yeah.
I mean, it empowers them to expand existing ventures.
Yeah, whether it's sewing, food preparation, all sorts of things.
But then the impact goes beyond just the individual, right?
Absolutely.
It ripples out to their families,
Yeah.
their communities.
It's about empowering women to invest back into their family's health, their children's education.
It's a really powerful idea.
And one thing that's really important to understand is that just providing the financial capital,
Yeah.
the loan itself,
Right.
that's not the whole picture.
Okay, so what's the missing piece?
Well, people also need the skills
Right. The knowledge.
to manage that money effectively, to grow their businesses.
So it's not just about giving them a fish, it's about teaching them to fish. And I loved how the sources you shared really emphasized the synergy between the loans and the skills training.
That's where the magic happens, yeah.
So we're talking about workshops on budgeting,
Yeah.
on product quality, customer service.
All those essential business skills.
And that combination is what really transforms things, right?
What takes it to a whole new level.
So it's not just a temporary boost, it's a foundation for a sustainable business.
Exactly. And that leads to lasting income, genuine economic independence.
And as we wrap up, I think it's important to touch on the idea of savings.
Yeah, crucial for long-term well-being.
Because microfinance isn't just about borrowing. It's also about building that financial resilience for the future.
Absolutely.
And these programs can play a big role in that by promoting savings habits.
Through small, voluntary deposit schemes.
And even those small amounts, saved regularly, can make a huge difference, right?
They really can.
Especially in a context like Papua New Guinea, which is vulnerable to natural disasters, economic shocks. So that little cushion can be the difference between recovering from a setback
Right.
and falling back into poverty.
It's about reducing reliance on those predatory lenders when unexpected things happen.
So taking a step back, what would you say are the key takeaways here for our listeners?
Well, I think the key things to remember are accessibility,
Right.
making sure these programs reach those outside the traditional banking system,
Yeah.
and then tailoring them to the diverse local realities. And of course, empowering women entrepreneurs,
Right.
not just with the financial tools, but with the skills they need to succeed.
And I think the big takeaway for me is that by providing those tools and that knowledge, we're not just talking about a quick fix. We're talking about fostering long-term stability
It's about unlocking self-reliance.
for individuals, for communities.
Exactly.
So I guess a final thought for our listeners, if we take this idea of accessible, tailored financial solutions and combine it with relevant training, where else in the world might we see similar potential for self-sufficiency and resilience?
That's a great question.
Something to think about.
A lot to ponder there.
All right. Well, thanks for diving deep with us today.
It's been a pleasure.
Really appreciate your insights.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.
See you then.